You might assume that owning a gas station is a guaranteed path to generational wealth. It sounds completely logical. Every single day, thousands of vehicles line up at the pumps, pumping hundreds of gallons of fuel, while global energy prices continue to shatter records. You watch the digital numbers on the pump roll higher and higher, assuming that the owner behind the glass counter is capturing a massive piece of that exploding pie. But the reality is completely upside down. And understanding why reveals a brutal mathematical trap that shapes the entire modern retail economy. When you pull up to a gas station in the United States, you are participating in a highly sophisticated illusion. The multi-billion-dollar oil corporations dominate the headlines, making record profits on the extraction and refining of crude oil. The independent retail operator, however, exists in a completely different financial universe. Out of every single gallon of fuel pumped into a vehicle, the average gas station owner often walks away with a net profit of just 3 to 7 cents. That sounds like an exaggeration. It is not. To understand where the money actually goes, you have to look at the fixed stack of expenses built into every single gallon of fuel. Before the station owner can even think about profit, wholesale fuel costs consume the vast majority of the price. Then come the state and federal taxes, which frequently add 40 to 70 cents per gallon. Add in distribution fees, refinery premiums, and local delivery charges, and the margin shrinks to a razor-thin sliver. If a station pumps 100,000 gallons of fuel a month, which is standard for a busy intersection, a 5-cent net margin yields just $5,000. That $5,000 is supposed to pay for electricity, staff wages, insurance, and maintenance. The math simply does not work. The apparent product being sold is not the real source of value. If the fuel pumps are a financial trap, the building standing directly behind them is a goldmine. In the industry, fuel is what economists call a loss leader, a product sold at little to no profit specifically to attract a massive volume of customers. The real business model of a gas station has almost nothing to do with energy and everything to do with immediate, impulse-driven convenience retail. When a driver walks away from the pump and steps inside the convenience store, the entire economic landscape transforms. The profit margins on fuel might hover around 1 or 2%, but the profit margins inside the store regularly exceed 30 to 40%. A customer who refused to buy fuel at a station down the street because it cost 2 cents more per gallon will routinely walk inside the store and spend $4 on a fountain soda that cost the owner less than 20 cents to produce. The strategy relies heavily on high-margin commodity products. Fountain drinks, brewed coffee, packaged snacks, and tobacco items form the financial bedrock of the indoor operation. Take a standard cup of gas station coffee. The wholesale cost of the beans, the paper cup, the plastic lid, and the hot water combined rarely exceeds 15 to 25 cents. Yet, that cup is sold for $2 to $3. That represents a gross profit margin of nearly 800%. The same mechanics apply to the soda fountain machine. Syrup concentrates and carbonated water are incredibly cheap when purchased in bulk commercial quantities. This means every large plastic cup filled with ice and cola operates as a pure cash generator. The visual layout of the entire property is engineered around this single transition. The pumps are positioned to force drivers to face the store windows. The most profitable items like energy drinks, tobacco products, and freshly prepared hot food are placed at the very back of the store or directly next to the cash register. This layout forces the customer to walk past rows of high-margin items just to buy a basic necessity. While the average fuel purchase might bring in a total gross revenue of $50, the net profit from that entire transaction might only be $1. Conversely, if that same customer buys a single bag of chips and a premium energy drink for $7 inside the store, the net profit to the owner can easily top $3. In essence, a gas station owner makes 3 times more profit selling snacks to a single foot traffic customer than they do filling up a massive SUV with premium unleaded fuel. The entire viability of the location depends on converting a fuel buyer into a store shopper. If a station has high fuel volume but low indoor conversion rates, it will inevitably face financial distress. The pumps exist entirely to pay the overhead costs of the real estate, while the convenience store provides the actual take-home income for the operator. But maintaining this delicate balance is becoming increasingly difficult as a set of silent, corporate predators begin to squeeze independent owners out of the market entirely. To the average consumer, the biggest threat to a local gas station seems to be the price of crude oil fluctuating on global markets. But on the ground, the independent operator faces an entirely different set of silent corporate predators that systematically drain their cash flow before a single dollar reaches their bank account. The most aggressive of these predators is not big oil, but the financial payment network. Every time a driver swipes a premium rewards credit card at the pump, a silent transaction occurs. Credit card companies and processing banks charge a fee, known as an interchange or swipe fee, which typically ranges from 2 to 3% of the total transaction value. When gas prices are low, this fee is manageable. But when global oil prices spike and a gallon of gas shoots up, the total bill for a full tank rises dramatically. Here is the counterintuitive trap. Because the gas station owner's margin on fuel is a fixed number of cents per gallon, not a percentage, their profit stays exactly the same whether gas costs $2 or $5. However, the credit card swipe fee is a percentage of the total dollar amount. If a full tank costs $80 instead of $40, the processing fee doubles. In many cases, when fuel prices reach historic highs, the credit card swipe fee completely eclipses the owner's entire 3-cent margin. The owner is quite literally losing money on every single gallon of fuel pumped, essentially paying the banks for the privilege of selling gas to the public. Beyond the payment processing networks, a secondary predator operates from within the brand itself, the franchise royalty system. The vast majority of branded stations, whether they carry the logo of Shell, Chevron, or Exxon, are not owned by those corporate giants. They are owned by local independent franchisees who pay massive annual fees to use the corporate name, corporate marketing, and corporate supply chains. These franchise agreements often lock the owner into buying fuel exclusively from that specific distributor, even if a generic local wholesaler is selling the exact same fuel for 5 cents less per gallon. Finally, there is the lingering, invisible liability buried directly beneath the concrete: the underground storage tanks. In the United States, environmental regulations dictate that these massive steel or fiberglass fuel tanks must be strictly monitored, maintained, and replaced every few decades to prevent catastrophic groundwater contamination. A single leak can trigger millions of dollars in environmental cleanup costs, regulatory fines, and legal battles. For an independent owner running on razor-thin convenience margins, the impending cost of a mandatory $100,000 tank replacement is a ticking financial time bomb. As these operational pressures intensify, the entire industry is reaching a critical tipping point. The traditional independent model is fracturing, paving the way for a massive structural shift that will permanently alter the economics of roadside retail. The convergence of swipe fees, rising overhead, and strict regulatory costs creates a brutal domino effect when economic conditions shift. Consider what happened during historical oil price shocks. As the price of crude oil spiked, retail fuel margins collapsed to near zero. Simultaneously, independent station owners had to watch the swipe fees on their credit card readers double, wiping out their remaining indoor profits. Cash flow dried up overnight. When an independent station faces this cash crunch, the owner can no longer afford to delay mandatory upgrades, such as replacing aging underground storage tanks. If one tank develops a hairline crack, the local Environmental Protection Agency moves in. The immediate consequence is a forced closure of the pumps, leading to secondary pressure on the convenience store as foot traffic completely vanishes. The behavioral response is inevitable. Independent owners sell their locations for a fraction of their value, leading to a massive consolidation where massive corporate regional chains sweep in and absorb the market. This consolidation explains the rise of megastations in the United States, like Buc-ee's or Wawa. These are not gas stations, they are massive department stores and fresh food restaurants that happen to have fuel pumps outside. They survived the domino effect by scaling the indoor high-margin model to an extreme degree. However, the entire industry is now staring at a long-term existential threat: the transition toward electric vehicles. On the surface, adapting seems simple. Just replace fuel pumps with electric charging stations. But economically, the mechanics fall apart. A traditional driver spends 3 minutes filling their tank, giving them just enough time to run inside for a high-margin coffee or soda. An EV charger takes 20 to 40 minutes to deliver a meaningful charge. This completely alters consumer behavior. A customer waiting 40 minutes demands a different type of infrastructure: comfortable seating, high-speed internet, and full-service dining options. This turns the business from a fast-paced convenience model into a hospitality operation, requiring millions of dollars in real estate upgrades and electrical grid overhauls that small independent operators simply cannot afford. This brings us to the ultimate reality of the asset system beneath the pump. You might assume that owning a gas station is an investment in the global energy market, but beneath the surface, it functions strictly as a high-stakes real estate and convenience retail gamble. The fuel is merely a visual hook, a loss leader designed to pull moving vehicles out of traffic and convert them into foot traffic. The ultimate lesson of the gas station business is this: the visible product being sold is almost never the real source of value. Survival in this niche does not depend on how much fuel you pump, but on how effectively you can leverage that fuel to sell something else entirely.